What's going on, guys? We are back with our reviews for Star Wars. We only got 2 films till Rise of Skywalker, and today's film is going to be Force Awakens, the Episode 7 film. Full spoilers, of course, guys, so make sure, again, if you're new here, consider hitting that like and subscribe button for all sorts of Star Wars content, early movie reviews, and in general, we just talk geeky content over here on a daily basis. Of course, my guest for this week will be Sean Chandler Talks About. Great guy, got to meet him in Austin, Texas this year. He's a phenomenal guy, and I'm glad that I got him for Force Awakens, because something tells me that he does like Star Wars, and I wanted to hop in on for this, guys. But really, I'm so excited to talk about Force Awakens, because I got some fun memories to talk about in this one. I'm about to cry of tears, because I just got done watching it for the bajillionth time. It's one of my favorite Star Wars films. So without further ado, guys, make sure to comment down below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on The Force Awakens, and of course, may the Force be with us all as we start our next review. 30 years ago, the Empire was defeated, and now a new threat arises, the First Order, which has risen from the ashes of the Empire. A scavenger called Rey has come into contact with a droid that contains a map to the legendary Luke Skywalker, who has vanished. Rey and a rogue stormtrooper called Finn find themselves in a monumental conflict between good and evil that will see faces old and new. When Force Awakens was coming out, I was so excited for this, because Star Wars is an event film. In fact, every time a Star Wars film comes out, it feels like a holiday. Like, it truly feels like a holiday and an event, and everything is coming around to that certain circumstances going to happen in that day. Besides Solo. Like, no one threw an event over Solo, which kind of sucked, because I didn't think it was that bad, but there was no event around that. But Force Awakens, it was a monumental event. Like, this day, building up to this, it was so exciting, because what happened was, so me and my friend got our tickets. Thank you to my mom, because she had to buy them, because I was poor, and I was sitting in class, and tickets went up, and I'm like, Mom, you gotta buy the tickets for me and George. So me and my friend George go to the theater. We got there 12 hours early before there was any arranged seating in Arizona. Sat down, we had a portable DVD player, our lightsabers in hand, a bunch of Star Wars pajamas and all sorts of stuff in our comfy chairs as we're sitting there watching Star Wars and just enjoying it. Watching A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, while also having lightsaber fights in line with other people. It was honestly a great time. Many people came dressed up to this screening. The guy sitting behind us has been to every single Star Wars premiere ever. Opening night, even A New Hope. It's honestly quite great how Star Wars has brought people together. And actually, in my next video, where I'm going to be revisiting Star Wars The Last Jedi, I'm going to talk about the fandom in general, and that will just be kind of a editorial video that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, so do look forward to that. But it was just such a great thing. You get into the theater, and even though I was spoiled by the main death in this, it still hit me. And I'm sitting in theater, I'm sitting there, I have my feet up, popped up, popcorn and drinks in hand. I'm sitting there, and just the opening credits come up, the music blares out, and I started crying. I think there was no dry eyes in the theater that day. It was complete tears from every single person, and Star Wars is back. That's what I felt when I walked out, that Star Wars was officially back, and Force Awakens is, for me, one of the most rewatchable Star Wars films that you can pop in anytime and just enjoy. All the characters are fantastically put into here, and while I have some grievances here and there with some of the humor and some of the lines here and there, it doesn't get in the way of how much I enjoy The Force Awakens. And I know I'm very much in the minority on saying that this is one of my favorite Star Wars films. Many people put the whole original trilogy and some of the prequels, then they put Force Awakens. I just love this movie to death. And I think it's so fast-paced. I think J.J. Abrams does such a fantastic job directing this film and moving it at this fast pace, that at the same time, this is a great film to get Star Wars fans into this film. I mean, the person watching me right now film this, they never liked Star Wars in general. Never. But then I told him to watch Force Awakens, then go watch Last Jedi, then I told him to watch the original trilogy, then the prequel series. And it seems like that's the best way to get someone into Star Wars. And I tell everyone that. If you want to get into Star Wars, start with Force Awakens, because it's so accessible and gets you straight into it. And just starting with the characters in here, Rey is such an intriguing, while fascinating and mysterious surrounding her. Now, I know some people will be like, how is she so strong, blah, blah, blah. I am hoping Rise of Skywalker explains that. If it doesn't, then okay. I guess that is an issue. But I see that she's already this independent and strong character that we meet straight off the bat. That the way that she fights, I mean, when she's fighting Kylo, I kind of understand it. Plus, she's strong within the Force, so it adds even more to that. She's kind of the Anakin Skywalker of this series. Like let's just look at that. Like Anakin was this strong character who had the Force running through him, and Rey is kind of the same way. Then you go into Finn, who, yes, some of his lines are a little bit cringy with the humor, but I think John Boyega nails the role as Finn, as this stormtrooper who just, you never gotten that look from a stormtrooper before, of that they don't believe in what they're doing. And just from that opening scene with Finn when we first meet him to the last scene with him when he's trying to protect Rey, it very much is embracive of who Finn is as a character, which I don't like what they did with Last Jedi and him, but whatever, that's another thing. Poe Dameron I love. Oscar Isaac, give him every single role. I love Oscar Isaac to death. I will do whatever I can to be with Oscar Isaac. Like, this guy, like, is one of the best actors working today, and I'm just happy he's in the movie, and I'm excited to see what they do with him in Rise of Skywalker. Now we get to my most intriguing character, and that is Kylo Ren. I've said it, I'm very much in the minority. I love his lightsaber. I love my steelbook over there. The thing with Kylo Ren for me is I think he's one of the most fascinating characters in Star Wars lore. Some people might go way against that. I think he's fascinating as hell. I think to see this character and all the emotions that is swelling through him is, I think, what they wanted us to feel within the prequels with Anakin Skywalker. And even though I got some of those emotional beats, I'm getting more of that from Kylo Ren. And I think this was such a great intro, and then going into Last Jedi and seeing what we get with Kylo in there is intriguing, and I'm excited to see what we do within the third film with him, because I'm just so fascinated with him. If you've never read any of the books about Kylo Ren, again, that's something to kind of dive into as well. There's a lot of intriguing facts to the whole thing, and God, I just love his outfit, his mask, his lightsaber, everything. He's just, maybe I think he's a little hot, but it's all right in that factor. Adam Driver for the win. He could win Best Actor this year because of Marriage Story. Damn, I'm about to cry because of that movie. Of course, with the new faces, we gotta talk about the old faces. And two of the old faces that do pop into here is Han Solo and Chewbacca. Man, when they come on the Millennium Falcon, it's like tears to my eyes again. Man, tears coming out of nowhere. The Millennium Falcon is back. Han and Chewie are on it, and seeing their banter with one another is great. Seeing their interactions with the new characters is even better. But of course, when Han finally gets his relationship back with Princess Leia, it's great. That reunion is spectacular. The same thing with C-3PO in that whole scene. And every time you see one of these characters once again, just reuniting gives you the goosebumps, gives you the feels, and I love it. And one character in here that I actually didn't get to mention yet was Maz Kanata, someone who I'm very intrigued about. Now, some people crap on her. I just want to know more about her. I know there's some deleted scenes with her of using the Force. Don't know why they deleted that. I wanted to see some of that. But one of my favorite lines she has is when she's talking to Finn, and Finn goes, "I need a weapon." She's like, "You have a weapon," and hands him the lightsaber, and he just turns it on. Just, again, goosebumps. You get so many goosebumps and feels and emotions through The Force Awakens, and I just love it. Like, I love feeling all these emotional beats, and I know it's totally, like, it just feels Star Wars. Like, that's what I wanted. And this is like pure nostalgia for me throughout this whole movie. And again, maybe that's not a reason I should love the movie, but I love it for those reasons. Like, I love having so much fun and just having a big, goofy, funny smile on my face as I'm watching this movie and getting all these reunions, all these new characters, and all this new intriguing aspects to it. You got Snoke, you got Husk. There's so many great things into this factor within the First Order and our rebellions that we're fighting alongside now in here. But when you go past that, you get to the action sequences. They all feel so real. The set pieces that J.J. Abrams sets up in here are great and fascinating. The use of real props, the use of puppets and aliens in here. I mean, all the little different cameos you can find. You can find Simon Pegg as Unkar Plutt over on Jakku. You have freaking Daniel Craig as a stormtrooper. There's so many different things that are, like, as you learn more about the film, you're like, that's cool. Like, I would have never known that. Oh, I would have never known that. And it's just, Star Wars has always had those intriguing aspects to it. And I think JJ is such a fascinating director to take on Star Wars into this aspect because of how great he is with inside here. I can talk about this film all day. The score, the cinematography, the action set pieces, the final fight between Rey and Kylo. Man, what is there not to say about The Force Awakens? Again, I have issues with some of the humor, but it's such a fast-paced film that just gets you going straight from the start, locks you in, and gets you loving Star Wars. Makes you feel like you're back, and feels like, just like Chewie and Han say, we're home. That's how I feel within this film. Of course, I've said enough about Force Awakens. Let me give it over to my guest, Sean Chandler Talks About. Make sure to go leave a comment on one of his videos and let him know that I sent you over there. Like and subscribe to him if you, for some reason, haven't heard about him. And of course, Sean, take it away.
Hey, Sean Chandler here from Sean Chandler Talks About, giving my thoughts on The Force Awakens. This is one of those movies that I kind of never thought was actually going to happen. After Revenge of the Sith, it just seemed kind of like George was done making movies and he was just kind of dragging his feet, making things happen. He was much more involved with cartoons. And then out of the blue back in 2012, it's announced that Disney is buying Lucasfilm and movies are coming. It's like, wow, this is happening. And then as I thought about who could be the best at this, seemed like J.J. Abrams would be a great pick. But since he was doing Star Trek, I didn't think that was a possibility because Star Trek, Star Wars is supposed to be rivals. And what he did for Star Trek was really give it the pacing and excitement level of Star Wars. So it seemed kind of like pretty clear that he'd be a nice fit to bring some life back into Star Wars. And then I saw those early trailers. The Chewie We're Home comment was just so potent and powerful. It had me so excited. And when I went to the theater, it absolutely lived up to the hype. They certainly played it safe when they made The Force Awakens. They didn't try and rock the boat. They didn't try and reinvent Star Wars. If anything, they erred on the side of let's be too cautious here and play by a familiar template, A New Hope, familiar settings, familiar plot points, but let's do it all with 21st century sensibilities, pacing, special effects. And that's the movie that they gave us. It was very familiar, but a very fun familiar. It absolutely pulled on the nostalgia strings, but it did it really well. And I just left that theater with such a big, gigantic grin on my face. And briefly after that movie came out, it seemed like the Star Wars fan base was united once again in loving Star Wars. That didn't last very long. It quickly shifted, as the Star Wars fan base tends to do, got cynical again. But at first glance, when it first came out, it seemed like it united us together. And I think there's a lot of good reasons for that. If you kind of go through the movie, it's a pretty fun set of characters. You have Poe Dameron, who has kind of the Han Solo swagger. He's the pilot, but he's not really Han Solo. He's a part of the team from the get-go, off on his own adventure, but he brings kind of the cool vibe into the franchise. BB-8 gives us another cute droid, but he's not really all that much like C-3PO or R2-D2. He's a different type of droid with a different personality and his own kind of fun, quirky sense of humor inside of all of this. And then Rey, there's been a lot of discussion as to is she a Mary Sue. I've always thought that was kind of a weird discussion. It's a franchise that revolves around having lead characters that are overpowered. That's like what Luke Skywalker, Anakin, that's what they are. They're just people that have the Force that makes them incredibly powerful. That's like the definition of Star Wars. So I never fully understood some of that stuff. Like, how did he beat Kylo Ren? Or how did she beat Kylo Ren? Because Kylo Ren had just been shot with Chewie's blaster in the chest and was bleeding out. Like I never really understood a lot of the criticisms about some of that stuff, but I found Rey charming enough inside of the film. It, of course, was great to see Harrison Ford again and Princess Leia and understand that they kind of had some happy times, they had some sad times, and they had a family, like a bunch of different things about it. It was just nice to see all of that. J.J. Abrams knows how to give you the roller coaster ride, a film that just moves at a breakneck pace and has kind of thrilling, exhilarating, vibrant action sequences. In particular, the Falcon escape at the beginning, or in the first kind of half of the film. Very cool sequence with the way the shots are framed and everything, and they fly through an Imperial Star Destroyer and stuff like that. Awesome Star Wars type moments, or when Poe Dameron is sniping out stormtroopers from inside of an X-Wing. Awesome, very cool stuff. He also has a distinct sense of humor and adds little jokes here and there. Maybe a little bit corny the way that he does jokes in them, but they absolutely work for a crowd. I think the big problem here is that it's obviously too safe. Star Wars has always been a little bit dangerous in the stories that it tells, and for all the faults of the prequels, they tried to do something new and different. So this is by far kind of the safest, least experimental. It's giving us more of exactly what we wanted. Is that a good or bad thing? It's good that they made a movie that we could all enjoy and have the nostalgia. Ideally, you'd want them to do a little bit more risk-taking with what they went for. But they were trying to make up for the prequels not being very well received. And I think that they did that at first with the one movie. Didn't go so well later on. It got a lot more divisive. But I would say this movie is largely very successful. Couple little flaws here and there, but in general, a very solid, entertaining Star Wars movie that I thoroughly enjoyed when I first saw it, and I continue to thoroughly enjoy it. So that's my take on it, and you can check me out over my channel, Sean Chandler Talks About It.
I give you guys my final thoughts on The Force Awakens. Thank you again to Sean for joining me on this video review of The Force Awakens. Look forward to my Last Jedi review coming out next week. Again, it's going to be more of an editorial. Going to be revisiting it, diving into the fandom of Star Wars. That comment section is going to be fantastic to go through. Can't wait. But guys, make sure to comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. And guys, of course, if you guys are new here and you guys want to see films early, go check out Sam Sean Films down below. And the most important thing about this all is, guys, thank you to you for clicking on this video, and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. Force Awakens is everything I wanted from a Star Wars movie, to be honest. It locked me in, it brought me back, and it made me feel like I was at home again. I love our new characters. I love seeing the old characters in here, and while that last sequence with Luke Skywalker might have been a little bit of a disappointment when it heads into The Last Jedi, I don't mean to keep bringing up The Last Jedi, I just love The Force Awakens so much. I could rewatch this over and 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 over. I'm gonna stop now, but I love it. And you know, if you don't like it, that's your thing. It's more Star Wars for me. I take the good with the bad. Whatever Star Wars is, I'm gonna enjoy it, because we only have not that many films in the series, and I want more, because yeah, I'm a baby and I'll take as much Star Wars as I can. So, but when Star Wars like the Force Awakens whisks me away into another world again, it makes me feel like I am there and satisfies me in every single way, with nostalgia, the score, the characters, everything. It just makes me feel like I'm at home and makes me feel like I'm a kid again. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Force Awakens an A. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on The Force Awakens. Did you guys like it? Did you hate it? Let's discuss it down below, guys. Thank you guys again so much for clicking on this. And of course, may the Force be with us all on the next video. Goddamn, that comment section is going to suck. Thank you guys again, and stay classy.